Tanya Schultz. I am a consultant with Apps Associates specializing in sales enablement and sales software. So I'm also a founding member of the Sales Enablement Society and the Atlanta chapter president.
And I hear that the Atlanta chapter is in charge of the Sales Enablement Conference in Dallas.
Indeed, indeed we are.
Can you give us a one-sentence pitch for that?
One sentence pitch for the conference. It is going to be the most epic meeting of the minds you have ever encountered before. You don't want to miss out.
I have been with the Sales Enablement Society since the beginning, before we had a name, one of our founding directors, and I'm really excited to be here. When I'm not working on society stuff, I'm running my own business called EverChanges.
I'm Mark Hunter. I'm known as the Sales Hunter, and I'm not a member of Sales Enablement, but I should be, because sales, and I put a video out this morning how much fun sales is, because why? We get to influence and impact people every day. And you think about that, no other profession do you get to influence.
So in the South Florida chapter, which is expertly headed up by Michael Labate, we had a list of questions. Michael typed up about 30 different questions, sort of who we are, what is sales enablement, who does it answer to, and I think we maybe made it past the second question because of the quality and really just healthy debate amongst 7 people, and we really settled on one question, which is sort of feeding into the project that South Florida has taken on, is what is the definition? And that's spawned its own level of challenges. For those keeping up with the progress of it, they're setting up 4 different advisory boards, I believe, academic, vendor, practitioner, and then one other maybe research-based. And there's just numerous challenges. The biggest one, in my opinion, is everybody has kind of settled into their own definition of what they do, whether it's very finite, like based around I train sales and that's what I do, or very ambiguous, such as my definition is just empower sellers, knowledge, skills, abilities, and tools to do their jobs. And so I think the largest challenge so far has been getting people to be willing to adopt a universal definition of kind of what we do as a profession.
So how do you explain that phenomenon? There are about 1,500 members of the society, and there's not one common definition.
It's an interesting question. And I think, to me, the answer is no one signed up for this. And I think everybody, if you really talk to people, you really sit down and talk to a lot of the people in the enablement field, they kind of fell into their role. Or I see Tanya nodding her head. So chances are Tanya came onto her position with a specific list of things to do, and people just add to it. Or maybe it's your nature to want to help. And so you, instead of people saying, we need sales training or we need communication, you offer to do it. And I think that's the backbone of the challenge of defining this, because everyone is different. And we're drawing from really 3 fields. Let's just say 3 fields. You've got former salespeople, former marketing people, and former operations or support people. All sort of that may be the starting point. But as you grow and sort of organically morph into an enablement professional, it's hard to leave that behind, and therefore that kind of influences your definition of what you do.
Jen Marie, tell us a little bit about the DC chapter, and what do you get out of being a member?
Made me better at what I do, and I have been in practitioner roles, and I have done consulting, and I couldn't be good at either one of those if it weren't for the mentoring and the coaching that I get every day from the members that I meet in the society. And that's what's so awesome about the DC chapter, but it's bigger than that. It's across our international, lines, all of our chapters. I think we're about to hit the number 30. And Mark, we just met, but I'm hoping you'll join us and we'll get to talk too. And we'll all be better for it.
So Jen Marie, tell us about how you related to when we did this Lego exercise.
Well, first of all, I loved it, but I think that's because I play Legos with my kids. I thought it was awesome. But more importantly, what I really liked about the team I worked with is we were able to very quickly sort of think about, well, hey, there's a bunch of departments we're trying to, quote unquote, enable them. And yes, sales is leading the charge, but how do we make sure everyone else is connected to sales too? And I think that's how I have always thought about it since I first joined the Sales Enablement Society. So I know that those words, connective tissue, are really critical to our definition work, because we've got, nice.
Was this yours?
Yes, that was ours.
Right.
So jealous. They're so jealous. They're stealing that idea for Atlanta.
It was cool because we were like, hey, let's all pretend we're a different department, and then let's put sales enablement in the middle. And we had like this spinning thing, and we were using symbolism and creativity with the Legos to express like a sales pipeline and a marketing eye, like looking at everybody. And finance was stuck in an office. They were chained to their desk with no legs. So
Right.
it was awesome. It was really fun. And we got to think about what it's really like to be in our day jobs, but be creative about it.
There are two parts to this exercise. One is the creation, that you have an idea, you translate the idea in something physical. And then there's the interpretation phase, where you then assign a meaning to what you have created, and then you explain it. And the advantage is that everybody sees the same thing and everybody sees something different.
I like the fact that there's motion in it, not because, wow, neat, you made something with wheels, but because there's actual motion, because you have to have your head on a swivel, and because it's in constant flux.
So Chris, share with us what you have learned in the Florida meetings, and what are you doing that really gets you energized every time you go there?
What I've learned is there's just entirely too much to do. In an organization completely staffed, let's just say staffed by volunteers, everybody is extremely well at just being very PC and asking very nicely. And the second anybody raises their hand, they jump all over them and say, that's the best idea I've ever heard, run with it. So that's great. I think there is so much on the table to tackle as a professional organization. And out of our meetings and a lot of conversations with Michael, I think what I'm really energized about, and professionally what I really love, is developing future leaders. And so sort of my path right now through the society is how do we prepare for our future, right? And specifically, it was brought up in the first meeting, and I even stood up to talk about it, but you know, there's not a lot of knowledge about sales enablement coming out of college. I've been out of college for some time now, but no one knows, right? And you have a lot of millennials entering the workforce at some point in the next 10 years. The boomers are going to decline. How do we encourage millennials and then Generation Z to get involved? And I think I've been in initial discussions with Scott and some other individuals about taking that path. I don't want to be the face of millennials, but I think I got pegged with that really early on. So I'm okay with that, I guess. I'm learning to live with being born in 1984. I know it's not my choice, but
Your cross to bear.
Yep, it's my cross to bear. But I want to bring in fresh talent, and a term I like to use around here is build your bench strength, right? Like prepare the next person. So yeah. I hire maybe just a junior enablement representative, and that doesn't exist for me now in my role. And what does that look like? And I think the society is largely going to help me put that together, but also return the favor and feed it back to the society and say, here's what I did by hiring an entry-level enablement person. Here's what I found, and I think this is what I could do differently.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. In the meantime, we have Britton join us. Tell us about your perception of what you get out of your chapter.
So we're actively getting together and having our monthly meetings, and people are getting to know each other. Austin's real hotbed. I would say particularly of sort of the inside sales kind of driven businesses. A lot of companies have kind of moved in on that basis, kind of from the coasts really, and have set up operations here. And one of the big ones coming up is Oracle is building a big center here. So it will have a hub of operations for sales and marketing activity, but it's a pretty dynamic environment full of startups, and then bigger companies like Dell and IBM have good centers down here.
Mark, why don't you share with us what you do, and you have a background as a sales leader, and then you transformed your life and you became a sales trainer. Tell us about it.
Yeah. You know what? Let me walk back through, because I spent 18 years in corporate America, and one of the last positions I had was truly sales enablement. I was director of sales for ConAgra Corporation. Had training, category management, sales promotion, sales operations, had all of those sales enablement departments in there. And then morphed into what I'm doing now. And what I do now is just really kind of wander the world aimlessly, speaking at conferences. I've had the privilege of writing a couple of books, and I get to hang out with Gerhard. Hey, I want to jump on something regarding sales enablement, because if you think about it, this is an organization whose time has come, because it truly is about customer focus. There's so much buzz about how do we get focused on the customer. And Chris, you brought up a great point about millennials. And I'll tell you what, as a boomer, I'll say that millennials are more equipped to be in sales than boomers ever were. And here's why. Boomers, we got into sales because it was a numeric way to make money. It was we counted the beans, we sold the sales, we got a paycheck, and we were happy. Millennials question everything. They question everything. And the future of sales is about questioning everything, because it's about engaging the customer at a much different level. So when we talk about millennials and sales enablement, I like the way this whole thing is converging. And I got to make sure I make it to Dallas for the epic event.
Absolutely, you have to. And then in Dallas, you're going to meet this cool guy, Britton Manasco. He's the author of an amazing book. Tell us about your book, Mark.
It's High Profit Prospecting, which was actually the follow-up to High Profit Selling. And you know, it's kind of interesting. The reason I wrote that book is because one of the problems people have, and you stop and think about this, is discounting is rampant. Well, reason we discount is because we start off with the wrong prospects. An argument I like to say is you can't take a Walmart shopper and make them a Nordstrom customer. If you start off with Walmart shoppers, you're going to have Walmart prices. Nothing wrong with your business model. But start with your right prospect, and it's amazing how much more successful.
Yeah. Britton, what's your definition at this point?
Well, I'll just tell you one thing I think is really crucial, and it keeps coming up in conversations. And I hope this ends up surviving whatever process we in the definition project, which is going on through the Sales Enablement Society. But it is this: it's that we are dealing with silos and are challenged to span them. We're boundary spanners and silo busters. So I think the cross-functional role that has to be played by sales enablement is critical at this point. And that's really a challenge, and needs to be thought through in terms of what capacities do we have as ambassadors throughout the revenue operation and beyond, perhaps. I think that's a central role in that sales enablement is being asked to play, if not explicitly, then implicitly, and maybe through our definition project, we'll make that quite explicit.
Well, I like the silo buster analogy. I think that is a very apt description. But my concern is more about the culture of the organization. I think that sales enablement is actually part of the mindset of the company. Here's what I mean by mindset. If you think of the human brain as a computer, then the mindset would be the operating system, and the beliefs would be the applications. And I think that the beliefs of the sales enablement manager actually has a huge impact, or can have a huge impact, on the mindset of the organization. Does that make sense, Chris?
It does. And actually, I can echo your sentiment there. One of the things that we really strive for at the bare minimum is to be the facilitator of the answer. We may not know, but chances are we're going to get you to the person that does. And I think, to further your point, sales enablement is just the beginning. To me, the future is organizational enablement. It's sort of the central nervous system of any organization, connecting all the dots making sure everything is communicating, everything is flowing, and all the resources are in sync.
Tanya, what's your take on that?
When I think about sales enablement, I consider it a bridging of the gaps, because there are gaps all over, and it goes back to silo busting and all that sort of thing as well. But when you lift it up just one level higher, when you talk through enablement at an executive level, executives sit in a room all day long and talk about goals, but having a sales enablement leader in those executive conversations create the path to achieve the goals.
Well, I like that. And it brings me to another idea, which is that in the past, we had thought leaders.
Yes.
And I think thought leaders are dead. And I think about what we're doing right now. We are conversation leaders. So sales enablement managers set the agenda for better conversations.
I love that. Very true statement.
Which I think takes us to the piece that we have to be culture creators. We have to be culture creators in our organization. We talk about sales enablement. It's being, and silo busters. That's so real, because so many silos are built around the individual KPIs of that department, that team. Oh, we have customers, but it's serving somebody else in somebody else's department. No, what about the ultimate customer? Who is the customer that we actually sell to? That's really where we have to be focused on creating that sales culture.
I love the conversation component, partly because in the society, we really want to have conversations. And by having conversations, we're helping each other. And if we have those same conversations inside of our companies, we're also going to help our companies. So I really like where that's going.
I want Chris to enlighten us. How does sales enablement and social media work together? What role do you have in your company when it comes to social media?
That's a good question. So just using social media as a channel of relevance. Is it a selling tool? Absolutely. Is it a connection tool, a prospecting tool? Absolutely. But I think at its core, it's a channel of relevance, and instilling that into your sellers, that it's still very ambiguous to older generations that, LinkedIn is not just used for job searches or resume building, that Twitter is not just used for 140 plus character updates. Having them understand at its core that it is to maintain relevance and insights for your customers and positioning. Ingraining it into their day-to-day and their discipline of helping you source business and source market intelligence and everything else. That's step 2, that's step 3. But sort of just positioning it or making them aware that, your desk phone is an arrow in the quiver. Your leads list is an arrow in the quiver, and now your LinkedIn account is just another arrow in your quiver. It's just another tool. It's another thing you can rely on to be more effective at your job.
Tanya, you're busy with promoting the conference. Are you planning on creating like memes for every speaker and for every session? You're going to push this out heavily through all the members through social media?
Absolutely. We've already begun that process. We're leveraging a tool that each time we build any kind of content, that it filters all the way through all the members being the center. So yes, the information is already out there, and we've only just begun, right?
What kind of tools are you using? Like, are you relying more on Twitter or Facebook page or LinkedIn?
So LinkedIn primarily, but definitely leveraging Twitter and Facebook as well.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, LinkedIn is where I'm going to use the word born, Scott, hope you don't mind. But that 2,700 members, I think, is where we are right this moment.
Really?
Yes, 2,700 members, and really just LinkedIn and people talking about it.
Can you share your screen for a second and show us what kind of messages you're sending out, or is that too confidential?
No, I was absolutely not prepared for that. I am so sorry. I'm not sure I can try. Let me give it a shot.
Yeah, I think it would be cool.
All right, so there are a couple of key things that are happening on a weekly basis. The first thing is we've got a handful of Sales Enablement Society members that are creating blogs and posts out on LinkedIn, a couple a week actually at this point from a volume perspective, just talking about the experience. And so for example, while we were in the room planning how we were going to start communicating what the experience will be like in the conference, we pop out on LinkedIn and we just start sharing what even the planning session feels like. Alexandria is one of our rock stars here in Atlanta. If you go to her page, you can see a litany of things around that type of topic. We've also launched a Sales Enablement Society conference website. This is going to be updated at least once a week. We've got so much context coming in at this point from a planning perspective. So this will not look the same over the next 10 weeks on any given day that you come out here to look at it. So I would encourage everybody to come and check it out.
That's awesome. And I would encourage all the members that are online now to go and share those blog posts and your LinkedIn messages, so that if we have 2,700 members, then you're probably going to have a reach of 8,000 or 10,000. And
that'd be amazing.
What's the goal? How many attendees? 500 or is it 1,000 now?
So Scott volunteered me for 750, but we're up to 1,000 now. Yeah, we're gunning for 1,000.
That's amazing. I'm so excited that Tanya has a whole invisible marketing team behind her. They probably live in the house where you are. You probably have 60 people there that do the marketing.
I wish they could come live with me. It'd be great. It's been amazing. The Atlanta chapter started in June. Our first meeting, we had 32 people. Very first meeting out of the gate. In that first meeting, Scott asked us to take the challenge on, and we've got a dozen people that pop in with all the time that they can volunteer with to help us with the effort. So it's
and
been.
how many people do you have now in the meeting in July and August?
We're up to 45 now. We're up to 45 in the chapter. But the amazing part is how many of those folks talk to me on a weekly basis. Like Jen Marie was saying before, I think that
Right.
it's amazing how much the network is willing to network. And I'm just stunned by the capabilities of the people in the group.
And how do people sign up? Mark Hunter wants to sign up. What do you do?
Go to the website. You can always look for it through LinkedIn. Just give a quick search on Sales Enablement Society, but there's a site to sign up to be a member, and there's a site to sign up for the conference as well.
So Mark, can we see your screen, how you sign up, so we get some action?
Whoa, you're putting pressure on me. Here we go. Oh, no, I'm going to, because
that is, Mark, that's the price of admission.
That's the price of admission, knowing that. Okay, let's see. Are you sharing there's my screen. Okay, so
look at you doing it.
Hotel Wi-Fi. There it is. There's
the line.
Events. Upcoming events. October. Register now. Right now to do it. So yes, how's this sound? Okay, yes. Let's check out. Let's buy the ticket.
Easy
We're going to
peasy.
watch you put in your credit card information too.
Everybody get your pens out.
Get your pens out, folks. Here we go, guys. Are you ready?
Oh, my air conditioning wants to join. I gotta go on mute.
There it is. See? And select a credit card type. Gerhard, I'll just use
Stop
yours
now.
again. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and use your, and I'll stop right there. How's that sound? Okay. But yes, I will be
recommend it.
I think that we have come to a very successful conclusion today.
Can I
go ahead?
You know, I've got to tell everybody how Gerhard puts people on the spot, because a year ago, Gerhard, myself, Jeb Blunt, Anthony Iannarino, Mike Weinberg, myself, we were all in a hotel room in Philadelphia. Video cameras rolling. We had about 7 cameras there. And Gerhard is questioning all of us about sales. And Gerhard puts Jeb Blunt right to the spot right then. It's Sunday, about 12:30. He says, Jeb, pick up your phone. I want you to call somebody. I want you to make a cold call right now. And Gerhard was relentless. Remember that? You remember that? You were relentless.
Role playing at its finest.
Role playing live
On a Sunday.
And
at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Blount called a client on Sunday and said, I have a new book coming out. It's not in print yet, but how many copies would you like? And the guy says, well, if it's your book, I buy 10.
Really?
Yes.
Bravo. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
So you know what I've learned, when you say to do something, I jump. Okay, I jump.
We need to wrap it up, and everybody gets 20 seconds for a wrap-up comment. Chris, we start with you.
Just happy to be on this panel with a bunch of accomplished people, and then just apparently some kid. So thank you all for letting me talk.
That was fun. Thank you. Tanya.
Thanks for letting me join today. I hope I'm able to join another one of these very soon. This feels very much like how I envisioned Dallas, where we're all just jumping in to talk about some really cool stuff.
It's going to feel like a family visit.
Yeah, homecoming, as my mother would say.
Jen Marie.
I'll echo the thank yous. It's always awesome to spend time with my fellow society members and to recruit at least one new one, Mark. So welcome. Excited to be here, and I'm glad we could do this today.
Mark.
Now I've got to clear my calendar so I can make it to Dallas, October 26th to the 28th. We'll be making some client phone calls and adjusting some dates, but I'll be there at least for a day of it.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. We are going to continue every week on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in to the Sales Enablement Society conversation. And remember, Sales Enablement Society members are conversation leaders. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.